Hello and welcome everyone to a new tutorial. Today I'm going to quickly show you how you can use the load remover if you want to speedrun Metal Gear Solid 2, the Master Collection version on PC. As that's going to be in the future, the leaderboards of Metal Gear Solid 2 HD Edition, that's this one, will also host then the runs for the Master Collection version. And especially if you're running the PC version, instead of going with the in-game time that happens on the score screen at the end of the game, we're going to use load remove time because the load times on PC are very unstable and can vary greatly depending on what kind of machine you have. So, in order to make it more comparable between runners, we use load remove time. How do we get that load remove time after having done a run? Thankfully, we can use tools like livesplit and a smart autosplitter file that we can then use to have the game pause the timer as we load into a new section. How to set it up is quite simple. Go to livesplit.org and go to downloads and then download the latest version. In my case, that's 1.8.26. Open the zip that you just downloaded. I'm going to make a new folder here on my desktop. Just going to call it livesplit. Then I'm going to move all the files here from this over to here. We can close this one down now. This is your livesplit. Just open livesplit.exe and we will see, there we go, here's our timer. Now this doesn't give us anything really and there's no segments in here. If we go to edit splits, there should be some segments here. So instead of open livesplit directly, we work instead with livesplit files. One great file that you can download is already here on the resources page, the resources tab for Metal Gear Solid 2 HD Edition. Simply go here to splits and download this MGS2 major segments split file. This one works great if you just want to see your time after each time you beat a boss or you find a special character such as Ames or the President in the story. Just click on that. You can download this one here. Now you got this so-called .lss file. I'm going to move it quickly over here to my desktop. Once you double click that, then it will open livesplit. Alternatively, you can also open livesplit first. Right click, open splits from file. And from file, you can then open the LSS file as we see here. Now this looks already much better. You can also scale this up here if you want to. We can see here, okay, now there's all these segments. If we go to edit splits, we see, okay, there's more timing segments. And you could already start running here if you just want to use console runs and you want to time yourself. After each time, you do a segment. Let's say, okay, we start. So you can manually go right click here and then control and then start, and then the timer starts. And this is currently measuring so-called a real time. And each time you want to continue, you can go here and go to control and do a split and then splits to the next segment. Of course, you can also not do this method. You can instead go here, go to settings, and under settings on livesplit, you can also define here these numpad hotkeys. And if your game, for example, also uses these numpad keys, you can also say deactivate for other programs. So if you click and focus on the game and you don't have livesplit in focus, if you press the number keys, they will then still split here on in livesplit. In my case now with the hotkeys activated, you can press numpad 1 and it starts automatically. I can press number 1 again. It splits just like that. If you press numpad 3, you also can say, I want to reset. Do you want to update my best times? No, I don't want to. And that's also good. One additional thing that could be interesting to people is in the layout. They can also change various aspects of this here. For example, in timer, we currently see only the main timer, but there's also additionally a detail timer. So if we move this thing up here, you can now see in detail timer, as I start run again, both have now the main timer and the detail timer. And the detail timer also consists now of the time of the segment that I'm currently in. So let's say I need like 10 seconds to go to Olga. And then I can still see, okay, I have the full time that's running in green. That's currently a guard rush at 15 seconds. And now I can also see how much time I spent in this segment of guard rush alone. You can do this for each one. Of course, you only want to use one of the two. I personally prefer detail timer, for example. There are way more layout options here. As you can see, you can also say, okay, I know my run is going to take an hour at least. So I want to already have it pre-filled here with 100. And for the segment timer, I know it's roughly going to be a minute at least. So that way you can see here, okay, we have both these milliseconds with seconds, minutes, and hours here for the full timer. And for segments that don't go further than an hour, you can also go just minutes, seconds, and milliseconds. But how do we get now the auto-splitting aspect? That is quite simple to do. That auto-splitting aspect can be added quite simply. I have here now the so-called Metal Gear Solid 2 Lite.asl. This is a file that was made by Beeman, one of our community developers who spent lots of time to making this as robust as possible. And ideally should also work on future updates. I tested this already with the version 1.22, but I also tested it today with version 1.30 and it still works. And it's great, the Lite version specifically, so we can split only on the main bosses and the main events. As of recording, the autosplitter file has not been added yet, but it will be added here under splits or tools for you to download for free once we officially have allowed the PC leaderboard runs. So ignore that it's not visible right now. Just as you download the split file, you can also download the autosplitter file then from this resources page on the Metal Gear Solid 2 HD Edition SRDC page under speedrun.com/mgs2hd/resources. So how do we make this file split automatically for us? Quite simple. As we are in livesplit right now, having the splits file open, you can go right click, edit layout. And on the edit layout, we're going to add a new component, which is here on plus. We're going to control scriptable autosplitter. We double click that, a new window opens. Now this is the layout settings. And we can now browse to this file. In my case, it's on desktop. In my case, it's on desktop. And I can see here, there we go, Metal Gear Solid 2 Lite.asl. Just double click it. It's now been added. And as it boots up, it also gives us some options that we can use here. Specifically for the Master Collection version, we want to change the game style to RTA loadless. What does this mean? Well, RTA is the real time, so every second that passes here, it also passes in the game and so on. But loadless means that if we are in the loading zone, it actually stops the timer for a short moment until we are out of the load, and then it continues the timer again. This is different to the IGT or in-game timer, but for LiveSplit in that sense, it's both the same. You can see here all the split points have already been set for tanker, auger, guard brush, and results for only tanker or for tanker and plant, which are different results. And in the plant chapter, we see plant. Okay, we reach Stillman, we see Fortune, Fatman, Ames, Harrier, President, Vamp 1, Vamp 2, Tango 1, Tango 2, Ray, Solos, and the result screen or the score screen at the end. Of course, you can also have here additional splits and segments, but I'm not going to go into the details about these here. If you want to always go back to the defaults, if you like clicked around and don't know, okay, what's the one that we want to use, you can always click reset to default here, and they all get reset again. Of course, make sure if you want to run in the Master Collection version to actively set this one active again, change game time style to RTA loadless. Okay. And that's basically all you need. This scriptable autosplitter will now detect when your Metal Gear Solid 2 Master Collection game is running. And what you can additionally do, of course, is also you can now save your layout. So you don't need to do the step every time. I'm going to save it here on my desktop, and I'm just going to call it MGS2 layout. And it's this file. And for convenience, you can also say, if I open this specific split file, I also want to specifically load this MGS2 layout. That already has all the settings that I want. And you can go ahead with this now. One last thing you need to check, and that is your compare against. Make sure that your compare against is against game time. I know I said we're not going to use IGT or in-game time, but the RTA loadless timer is still technically game time, because real time is only the one that really starts and stops without any pauses. But game time, with the additional setting set, is now RTA from start to finish, but it removes the loads as we load into new areas. So always make sure to compare against game time. Personal best segments, and average segments, that's up to you. You can use these as you want. But game time is the important thing. Together with, just to have shown it again, the option active here, change game time style to RTA loadless. Once these two factors are in, I recommend to make a save here in the splits and save the layout. And now we can start. Some runners maybe also prefer to have less information on here because they only want to have the timer. Not to worry, you can also remove all of these aspects. You can even remove the splits if you want, because even without showing the splits, they will still run in the background. And you can also remove the previous segment so you only have the timer. Make this even smaller like this. And you can have it, for example, like in the bottom center of your screen. Because the cool thing about livesplit is, if you only have one monitor, you can go here to Edit Layout, Layout Settings, and here you can say Always on Top. With this setting enabled, even if we swap over now to Metal Gear Solid 2, livesplit should always still be visible. So let's open Metal Gear Solid 2. We're going to start the game. And as we see, once we open Metal Gear Solid 2 Master Collection here, sadly it does not work right now in full screen exclusive mode. Hopefully in the future the game can be patched so you can run this game in windowed and borderless windowed mode. And then you can also see livesplit on the same monitor. If you don't have a second monitor, but you want to record all your runs, of course, the way to capture livesplit is quite simple. You have to edit as a window recording. So I'm just going to go, I'm not going to show you how to record a window capture in OBS. Just going to edit selectively here. There we go. So now in my recording here, OBS is on top here. I can technically remove the livesplit window somewhere else off screen. But for my recording, now livesplit will always be visible. Even if I can't see livesplit right now, if I only had one monitor, in my recording there would still be the timer now. I'm just going to quickly start a run here to show you that it works. I'll go here, start very easy. By the way, if you want to have also turbo, there's also a second link in the video description down below where I teach you how to set up turbo. Quite easy. And it is allowed for Metal Gear Solid 2, which allows us, for example, to skip codecs super fast. There we go. As the screen fades away, the timer begins. And already we have now load removed time running. So every time when the game loads between cutscenes or between codec loads, and of course during room transitions, the timer will pause quickly. And as I'm here, I'm going to go now up to the next door. And as I pass through the door here, you will see that the timer will pause quickly as I transition to the next room. All right, and that's how you set up the load remove timer here with livesplit and of course the autosplitter file. Happy speedrunning!